You had mentioned earlier, potentially AI being able to control features and functions of a building. The pushback is the fear of the unknown and lack of trust in the thing or the intelligence that's controlling the building. I think we'll get there over time. Just as human beings in general, we need a level of experience to build trust. We don't give it like trust is earned. It's just how we are. And I think once we get there, we'll start seeing micro cases and then eventually macro cases where we're controlling full facilities with cognitive buildings who are optimizing the space for the type of work and the type of people that are in that space.
Welcome to Connected FM, a podcast connecting you to the latest insights, tools, and resources to help you succeed in facility management. This podcast is brought to you by IFM, the leading professional association for facility managers. If you are ready to grow your network and advance in your career, go to ifma.org to get started.
In today's episode, Vic Bangia, CEO of VRM Consulting, sits down with James Waddell, the president of Cognitive Corp, to discuss how AI is transforming facility management and corporate real estate. From streamlining operations to improving decision-making, they explore real-world use cases, evolving technologies like visual condition assessments, and the importance of human oversight. Now, let's get into it.
I'm Vic Bangia, CEO of VRM Consulting. We're a corporate real estate and facilities management outsourcing advisory practice.
And I'm James Waddell. I work at Cognitive Corp, very focused on AI innovation for the built environment. And we do a number of things, including publications with experts like Vic.
Yeah, and today we wanted to talk about how we feel that AI is changing the FM industry, specifically from my vantage point, how it's changing the corporate real estate and facilities management outsourcing industry, and also changing the overall built environment.
Yeah, so let's back up a little bit, Vic. So you and I had an opportunity to sit down and really talk a little bit about your life story. And I think that was the starting point for how we were able to get some, real world use cases and how AI can help anyone along their journey. Can you tell us a little bit about the book that we've recently worked on?
Sure, yeah. So I wanted to write a book about my career path and a little bit about AI as well, because I wanted to talk about how if I was a younger corporate real estate or facilities management person coming up in the ranks, at the time, I didn't have AI at my disposal, but today people do. And AI can really help you chart your career path in this industry. And so I started telling James a story about that. I said, I sort of lament the fact that on the tail end of my career, where right now AI is going to be very helpful for me in my business, but it's not going to be helpful necessarily for me in my career because my career path is largely over. But I thought I had enough life lessons in the way I managed my career that we could write a book about how AI can be a benefit to people who are starting out in their career or people that are making a change to their career or even people who are trying to, go out strong. And I think AI can certainly help people do that. So we collaborated on a book and it was a really fun experience and really enjoyed it.
It really was. I learned so much about you. And I think really one of the very good tactical benefits in this book, at least from an AI technology perspective, one, it was how we wrote it, but more importantly too, after reading it several times myself, because I learn something new every time I read it, is the practical advice of how someone, no matter where they are in their career journey, that can use some of these AI tools to help them overcome objections or develop work results or to become more productive and beneficial to their employer or clients in some way.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about how AI can help facilities managers operationally manage buildings and manage them in the built environment, because that's really where your company and where you come from. And I think AI can be so powerful in reporting and in managing facilities. And so talk a little bit about how you see AI benefiting those in the facilities industry.
We had an opportunity just earlier before this podcast to hear Dean talk a little bit. So good job, Dean. Dean drove a industry report called Game Changer, and I had an opportunity to sit on the panel to help create that report. And it really goes deep into how AI can help facility managers do facility management stuff. And it's an excellent report. The world is moving from learning about AI and chat and how it can help me find information into being able to use, we call them non-biologicals or AI agents, as personal assistants or as remote workers, interns, if you will. And you're going to see a lot more of that in 2025. But as a facility manager, just imagine if you had the ability to hire at very little cost an intern that was an expert at something to take over all those laborious, repetitive tasks that you do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
That's what AI is able to do for us in just about any scale and across just about any kind of process.
Yeah. And you can use it in various different applications. You can certainly use it operationally for
Mhm.
facilities management. I actually have AI agents on my website so that anybody comes to the website, they can ask questions of the AI agent and that AI agent will either tell them the answer or direct them to where they can find the answer. And it really helps, folks that are, visiting the website to understand a little bit more. But also I think what it does is it allows for continuous learning and for, buildings to become smarter, leveraging the historical results of what's coming out from those AI agents. If you're talking about managing multiple facilities that all are using some of the same systems, they can become better at managing those systems and reporting on the performance of those systems.
There's some things in the wings that are coming up that are fairly new. So imagine not a full facility condition assessment, but a visual assessment of facilities. So running around the show today is a really smart guy named Billy Holder. Billy Holder is developing a technology where you just take a quick video of a space and it'll develop a report, visual condition report, and then provide guidance to a facility management team that's an expert to go out and potentially do some extra deep dive conditional assessments if needed.
Yeah.
So those are the things that are absolutely coming. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
And some of what AI can do, really sort of helps with what I consider the mundane, in the corporate real estate and facilities management outsourcing business, developing an RFP, writing RFP questions, things like that can be done leveraging AI. I tend to never write the same RFP twice. So AI is actually a great benefit to me because AI can make sure that I don't generate the same RFP twice. But the challenge with AI, especially in my business, is there's a lot of conversations that I will have with a prospective client before we put out an RFP. And those conversations tend to include very sensitive discussions, sometimes highly confidential discussions about business strategy and things like that. So in order to leverage AI, we have to make sure that, that those conversations, one, are approved to be recorded and utilized, which that gets into sort of a gray area because oftentimes to put that information, especially confidential information, into an AI system can, breach confidentiality. So I'm a little compromised in that I can't use AI the way I would love to be able to use it. But if I have a client that's willing to have that information be made semi-public or have a potential of being public, then it's okay. But what comes out of that, I think, are higher quality RFPs that have a scope of work that's specifically tied to that client's desires and scope of work. And also to validate that scope of work can be clear, achievable, and realistic so that we're not trying to create something that service providers cannot actually live up to, which is the biggest problem and complaint and challenge that most clients have is that they need something done and that their service providers either just can't do it or the cost is too high, and then the answer is, well, let's just leave that off the scope of work. So nobody's getting, asking for something that they can't deliver on.
ABM creates possibility for world-class facilities, helping systems perform, businesses prosper, and occupants thrive. ABM has over 100,000 hands and minds with the talent, technology, and innovative thinking to help people work, learn, travel, and do more. ABM works every day to create new solutions for clients, industries, and communities. They make a difference across billions of square feet and touch the lives of millions of people. And now they're inviting you to see what's possible. Get in touch with an ABM expert today at abm.com or call 866-624-1520. Again, that's abm.com or call 866-624-1520.
No, I love real world practical examples, right? So, and really what we're talking about here is how an AI agent can be an assistant to the people who need something done. And I think the best example is what you and I lived. And we wrote your book. We sat down in a video call and we had just a conversation, just two guys talking about your life and your lessons and the things that you wanted to tell your audience.
Yeah, with a little point counterpoint, because that was kind of fun too, where,
Exactly.
you pushed back on some things I was saying. And we had the agent helping us because they were recording and listening and interpreting and evaluating what we were saying.
Yeah. And it was all, and then, so we took that recording and then we sent it over to the agent who was a different agent. So this one's expert at writing in our style. And it developed the drafts that we were able to then go and refine and make them a very quality. And I mean that sincerely. I'm very proud of the output that we've developed here that you have in your book. Quality, deliverable, that's easy to read, very high impact. and it was done with the assistance of AI.
Yep. And the other thing too, the quality is high, right? So now let's transfer that quality to how you report up the building operational data that you need to give to your senior leader within your company. If you were producing reports and they weren't very high quality or they were missing pieces, AI can actually help you create a higher quality, more meaningful, more impactful report, as well as the analytics that come from that allow you to make better, faster, smarter decisions. All of that is an enhancement. Now, I always think that AI has to be done in that context because there's a lot of negativity around AI, that AI can do things that are not good. And I think the important thing is that when you channel AI for the benefit and for good, it's a very powerful tool.
You had mentioned earlier, potentially AI being able to control features and functions of a building. We'd like to consider that an evolution of a smart building. Selfishly, we call it cognitive building because we work at Cognitive Core. But that's a reality. I mean, that was IBM's vision for Watson in facility management, was to be able to have some level. In fact, they coined the term cognitive building. The pushback is the fear of the unknown and lack of trust in the thing or the intelligence that's controlling the building. I think we'll get there over time. Just as human beings in general, we need a level of experience to build trust. We don't give it, like trust is earned. That's just how we are. And I think once we get there, we'll start seeing micro cases and then eventually macro cases where we're controlling full facilities with cognitive buildings who are optimizing the space for the type of work and the type of people that are in that space.
Yeah. You say when we get there. So what are some of the short-term risks that you think exist for people who are just now embarking on AI and want to get involved, but are concerned or have fearful in some way of giving up that data, giving up that information, having it be semi-public like we talked about? What are the biggest challenges you feel exist?
So there's two dimensions. There's the dimension of how do I use as an individual AI today? I don't think there's very many risks there or barriers there. You don't want to like put your public company information on ChatGPT. So there's a risk. Don't do that.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Right. Absolutely don't do that. But you should learn what it is and how you might be able to use it, and reach out to an expert in AI, how you might be able to do a private deployment so you reduce that risk and actually minimize and mitigate that risk entirely. At an enterprise level, particularly at a full portfolio level, it gets way different, right? So there's a matter of laws and ordinances and governance around controlling a building, and we haven't gotten there yet as a society. So there's that fear of unknown and who holds the liability. Can it be done today? Yeah, it can be done today. The biggest issue, though, that both sides of those dimensions have is what's the data that you're deriving your insights from in order to make decisions?
Yeah.
Right.
And from my vantage point, I think what I would say is that, putting the human in the middle of AI so that there's an interpretation of the data so that it's not just being done in a hands-off way with AI is really important. You got to make sure that there's still a human element to it, but then it's a hugely powerful tool.
So what do you want to leave the audience with, as we're about out of time?
Well, I want to leave the audience with the fact that embrace AI, first of all. It is an amazing tool, very powerful, very helpful. Make sure that you understand it. Make sure that you rely on experts like James and others that are, top-notch in their field when it comes to AI, but don't be fearful of it. It is an amazing way to augment your building facilities operations. It's an amazing way to enhance your corporate real estate and facilities management outsourcing relationships. It's just an amazing tool.
I would say seek out experts like Vic Bangia for all of your corporate real estate needs. But more importantly, the world right now, everyone that I've talked to today, and I've talked to many people in the last few days, they're all looking for practical use cases of AI. And there are people out there who have done it and are doing it like Vic. And it's wonderful to get those insights from him.
Well, thank you, IFMA, for this opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to the Connected FM podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to rate and review the show because it really helps us reach more listeners just like you. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. See you next time.